Hey, it was decent. Now, for the first time in about a month, I have a Wi-Fi match. Now, the reason I'm just like so focused on VGC, I guess, so it just like dawned on me. I'm like, you know what? I haven't posted a singles match. I don't know anything about singles anymore like that. Like, I do not know the tiers. Somebody's gonna have to explain it to me. I used to be on top of my game like that. Like, nobody could like tell me anything. I'm like, sure, Blast Switch, you son. You want to run the Starbreaker set over this set, over that set. You know, I used to know them by heart, but now I don't know anything, and that's why I am playing again, so I can get like a little bit more freshened up with it. As you can see, he just killed off my Gengar. I thought he was going to pursue the first turn as opposed to going for the bullet punch and then pursuing, but you know, I have a little bit of bulk of my my Gengar just because I carry Will-O-Wisp, so I guess that's why I live a life full bullet punch coming from the scissor. So now in comes my Vileplume. I figured he's gonna bring in his Latios, so I wanted, no, rather Latias, because I wanted the Stealth Rocks and then the Infestation and then the residual damage from the Infestation, and then after me switching into Scissor and him taking like Draco Meteor and or Side Shock, Life Orb damage, coupled alongside with another Sandstorm damage output, plus switch initiative potentially if he did bring out his Latias into my Vileplume. So that was awesome. That was an awesome little play right there, but none of that even happened. Like, Infestation would have caused a disability from him switching, which means that he can't pivot switch on my predicted switch out because I idealistically want to save my Vileplume for a little bit later on. So now in comes the Scissor after he goes to the Roar. His Hippowdon is not out of the woods yet, but I am carrying Defog so I can knock out his Stealth Rocks momentarily. It's important for me to keep Scissor in the game because he has Klefki as well as the Hippowdon, and just as I subtly expected, just subtly, that he has screens. So I'm gonna have to deduct that he is dual screens there with Thunder Wave, Foul Play, and dual screens with maybe a Light Clay. So that's the role here, and I guess maybe his Garchomp or something else. I'm gonna deduce that something else is like a setup mod, because there's no way that you would have a dual screener and not have like a setup Pokemon. I mean, it's just ideal. So now he brings in Hippowdon, and Hippowdon is going to die from the U-turn as I bring in Braviary because Braviary is Scarfed. He's going to bring in his Excadrill. I was going to say Hippowdon, but Excadrill. Switch right out to my Vileplume because I know he's going to go for the Rock Slide and or the Iron Head. I would have preferred him to go for the Iron Head because I am carrying the Effect Spore. So if I would have gotten a nice little Paralysis and or even Sleep, that would have been nice. Take a chance actually, because it could have been a bluff and he could have just had the Mold Breaker. You never know, like I do stuff like that, you know. But take a wild guess, and he ends up being the Sand Rush, which is great, which means that my Rotom is a hard counter, if not the answer to his Excadrill. So now in comes the Scissor. I'm just going to take this time to go for the Roost so that later on, if I have to deal with Latios, I won't be in danger after switching into a Draco Meteor as to being like, you know, one-shotted after the first initial Draco Meteor, because I can't really rely on the Paralysis not having my Scissor fully paralyzed when I crucially need a Roost. So now he shows me that he is a Mega Garchomp, goes for the Swords Dance. Wow. I'm going to go for the U-turn, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Braviary, and then since Braviary is Scarfed, since Garchomp is revealed not to be Scarfed, I'm just going to go for the U-turn. He might intend to go for the Outrage, which is great because I'm switching right back into Scissor and then go for the Bullet Punch, but he sees that and goes into Klefki, which is alright because now I get switch initiative anyway. So Rotom's going to come in, he's going to go for the Light Screen. I want to get residual damage on that thing so that it will limit the amount of turns that he can just come in. Hence me going for the Will-O-Wisp as opposed to, you know, going for the Hydro Pump right away. I figured he might want to go for the Light Screen. And afterwards in comes the Latios. I was contemplating going for the Will-O-Wisp again, but I really wanted switch initiative more than residual damage in this case scenario. So I wanted to also test him, hence me bringing in my Scarf, Braviary, and then switching right out into my Scissor just to see if he will stay in and go for the Draco Meteor, which may tell me that he is Scarfed. Since I haven't seen him do any damage onto my team, I don't know whether he's choiced or whether he's Life Orb or maybe he's just a defensive set. I have no idea what that Latias is. So he's going to go for the Foul Play. Unfortunately for him, it is not going to do that much because I did inflict a burn onto it a little bit earlier on. And he's stuck between my Scissor because my Scissor has the Fog. So I can just like Roost, you know, deal with something else a little bit later on. You never know what may happen. Somebody might score a crit. It might just tip the odds in his favor. You know, so now I'm just gonna go for the defog, and then afterwards go for the U-turn. He does have the air balloon, so I figured that he might want to go for the rock slide, assuming my Rotom to come into play. So I'm just gonna switch to Rotom anyway, and then I am just going to, I believe, go for the Hydro Pump and or the Will-O-Wisp. I think I decided to go for the Hydro Pump in this case scenario because I'm thinking that he might predict me to go for the Will-O-Wisp, inflicting residual damage on his Latios, and then go for the Klefki. So I predicted the Klefki switch in and then went for the Hydro Pump, but unfortunately for me, the Hydro Pump misses anyway. So he makes a double back onto his Excadrill, and he goes for Earthquake on my Vileplume, stay in. I actually thought that he was going to go for the Rock Slide because to inflict some residual damage onto my Rotom, which may be decisive a little bit later on. So now he switches in Klefki as I switch up my moves and go for the Will-O-Wisp. So he's reading me pretty perfectly. It's pretty good. So what I can do now is go for the Volt Switch, and then later on, since Klefki is out of the way, I can take out his Light Screen with my Defog. So I'm just going to have to do that a little bit later on, but bring in Scissor, just to give him like that little hasty notion that I really want to take it away. So I'm just going to go for the U-turn as opposed to going for the Defog. I could always go for a Defog a little bit later on. I honestly did not expect the Earthquake to do that much. Since I did see the air balloon and I didn't see the life orb, I kind of underestimated it. I was like, you know, I could probably just like take 3, you know, like another Earthquake would be like under half. So I'm just gonna go for a Volt Switch here, which is great, which means that I can bring back in my Braviary and then afterwards go out into Scissor just to test again to whether he is Scarfed or not. Now this Monferno can actually live a Scarfed and or a Life Orb Draco Meteor, well 2 actually consecutively, and then slack off. Yes, that Monferno has slack off. It's a defensive set. So now I'm just gonna switch out, and even Monferno can't take an Earthquake, so he can take a Rock Slide though. So I could have actually stayed in and went for the Will-O-Wisp. That would have been beautiful. Monferno burning an Excadrill? That would have been awesome. So I burned the Excadrill finally since Klefki is out of the way. There's nothing preventing me from inflicting a burn onto another Pokemon. And then I am just going to try to go for the Hydro Pump on that specific turn, but unfortunately for me, I do catch a flinch, and he's going to go right back out into Latias. I am just going to make a hard switch out into Monferno, and then his Light Screen wears off. He goes for the Side Shock. You think that will kill? That doesn't kill. He's revealed to be Life Orb, and I just go for the Will-O-Wisp, inflicting residual damage. So Monferno actually did something. That is crazy. He goes for a secondary Side Shock, which knocks down my Monferno. But Monferno, ladies and gentlemen, just took a Side Shock from a Latias. What? So now that he is Life Orb, I can safely bring in my Choice Scarf Braviary and then go for the U-turn. U-turn is the safest play. If he switches out like he did, I get switch initiative, which is fine. And since his Excadrill does happen to be Sand Rush instead of the Mold Breaker, I feel comfortable bringing the Rotom in, and I can just go for the Hydro Pump. I believe that's what I do this turn. There's no reason for me not to. Even if he brings back into Latias, Latias is burned and it has Life Orb, so it's taking residual damage here and there. So I'm in a great scenario right now. So I'm just gonna go for the... Whoa, he shows me Healing Wish. I was going to go for the Volt Switch. Wow. Which means Garchomp is actually a potent threat. That's what he has left over. So, instead of going for the Will-O-Wisp, because he might have Substitute, I don't know if he's like the Swords Dance sub variant. We did see Swords Dance a little bit later on. Swords Dance subs 2 attacks, I don't even know. So I'm just going to go for the Hydro Pump. I made that mistake a little bit earlier on with Joey, and I ended up throwing the match because of that. So I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. I'll go for the Hydro Pump, and then now he shows me Outrage. Outrage is definitely going to kill my Rotom, and now I could just bring in the Scissor. Hopefully Bullet Punch will do enough to with a point where my Choice Scarf Braviary's Brave Bird will be able to finish it off. But I'm not feeling really confident with that minuscule damage that Bullet Punch was able to inflict onto the Garchomp there. So I gotta cross my fingers. I hope that the Brave Bird does kill. Does it kill? This is the moment of truth. Ah! Braviary coming in with the clutch! That's what I'm talking about. Yo, that was a great match. I definitely did have a lot of fun. If you guys enjoyed this video, do me a favor and drop a like. If you guys want to see more content like this in the future, please subscribe to me. It is awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Peace. What you doing?